welcome to Saving People Queering Things, the podcast where we talk about ghosts, road trips, and free will through every episode of the retro TV series Supernatural.
Today, we are exploring the season 3 finale, No Rest for the Wicked, through the theme of free will. I'm Noah.
I'm Abigail.
I'm Elayna.
And we are so excited that you've joined us for our season 3 finale. This episode is incredible. We just got finished watching it as a team. We are so excited to talk about it.
Hardly any notes.
It's impossible to believe we're already here.
It really is. We just started season 3 5 minutes ago. I don't know what's going on.
Crazy.
Nope.
They've come through so much, a whole year of Dean's life, and it's been like 5 days for us.
Yeah. And Noah has just watched this for the first time.
But we finished watching this minutes ago.
Yeah. You're getting the rawest reactions we pretty much ever get on this show. So
Yeah, like Elayna just stopped crying.
Just put the tissues away.
Might have a couple more as we talk about it.
Well, speaking of which, we are now going to jump into our 30-second recaps. We're going to be recapping season 3 and this episode. So here is what you missed on the road so far. Elayna, you want to take us away for our season recap?
I am ready as ever.
Are you, though?
Yeah,
On the inside?
for a very rare instance, I am.
Okay, Elayna.
Yeah, count me in.
3, 2, 1, go.
So at the end of season 2, they let all of these demons loose because Dean decides to make a deal to save Sam. And so then they spend most of the season trying to get all these demons. They meet up with Gordon again, and he dies because he becomes a vampire, and it's terrible. Bella is a thief that they meet, and then she dies because of demon deal. Bobby and Rufus are great, and they don't die, thank goodness. But they are 2 hunters that are helping them along the way. And then we get to the episode we're gonna do stuff and watch, and I totally lost it at the end there.
No, you did
Totally
good.
lost
You did
it.
good.
I was so good until the end.
A stellar recap leading us into this episode, episode 16. Noah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so in this episode, we've got right at the start, Bobby displaying excellent parenting and hunting skills by the end. Sam and Dean argue over how to save Dean from his demon deal. Ruby tries to help, but in the end gets banished away to somewhere super far. And Dean gets taken by hellhounds and ends up in hell anyway, hopelessly screaming for Sam in such an unnecessary way. And then they just left it like that for so long. And here we are, just sad about it.
If you
Yeah.
haven't noticed, Noah's a little salty about the ending of this episode.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I'm totally not almost crying again. I don't know what you mean.
Noah spent several seconds when we finished watching it just out of frame of his camera, just lamenting.
Doing the big sigh. It's not great. It's not great. I'm gonna have to go watch episode 1 pretty soon.
Yeah, we won't make you wait too long.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough. That's such a bummer. The acting was phenomenal, but the story was just heartbreaking.
It's brutal.
Cannot catch a win in this episode.
No.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into the episode itself. And as we always do on this show, when we talk about the season finale, we talk about it through the theme of free will. So we want to get Noah's reactions to this episode in general, and then we're going to talk about, free will.
How did it impact this episode in the strongest method? I mean, Dean is the clearest example of free will in this one because he has the least, because he has a time limit on how long he's got to exert his will.
Yeah, this episode's really about the limits of free will based on like previous exercises of free will.
Yeah, because he did that. Now Sam has a lot more free will, but he's got 30 hours left at the start.
But he still tries to hold on to that so much by being like, there has to be a way that we can do this. Like he remains Dean the whole time.
For so long until he's driving in the car. That's when he gets the most hopeless and realizes that he has very limited time left and his free will is running out.
Like slipping through his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that moment, he chooses to try and make his brother feel better by putting on some Bon Jovi because he's Dean Winchester and he makes us feel things.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that that scene, because I think it's his goodbye scene. Like he doesn't want to have, like Sam starts to be like, let's have this moment where I say things to you. And Dean's like, no. I want to say things. And by say things, I mean, I don't want to say things. I just want to actually have a meaningful moment with you of solidarity. And, you know, it's this like vulnerability from him, but also it's this, he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want it to be real until it's real.
Yeah.
I think it's a good scene. And I think it's really cool that Sam is able to acknowledge that that's what Dean needs. You know, he puts aside his own, this is what I want to say, and goes, oh, what Dean wants right now is for me to just sing along to this dumb song and be present in this moment and pretend we're just driving along the road.
Be his dorky little brother for 5 more minutes.
Yeah. Because I think Dean recognizes that his choices at the end of season 2 have led to this. And he's now going to leave Sam on his own in a world that has become increasingly more dangerous for Sam specifically. And Dean's not going to be able to do anything about it. Like, he's done his last move of free will. His last move of free will is saving Sam. After that, Sam is on his own. Like, it's going to be up to Sam. And he doesn't fully come to grips with that in this episode, I don't think.
Definitely not. The character who exerted free will the best in this episode, I think, was Bobby. And
yes, say more.
It's not just because I love Bobby, but it's just because Bobby's the best. It's not my fault.
You don't make the rules.
I don't make the rules.
Bobby does. Bobby makes the rules.
Bobby makes the rules very clearly, demonstrated by how he took the part out of the car to not let them leave. And he said, where the fuck do you think you're going, sir? Without me? Not a chance. You can say whatever you want about how you want us to fight this, but you can't do it without me. Okay. And he said, okay, yeah, fair enough.
He says it because, like, he says it for a couple of reasons. He's both saying, A, you need me. I know more than you. Ron Swanson voice.
Oh my God, Bobby is so a Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson is Bobby coded. But he also says it because, you know, Dean tries to be like, well, you know, this is like Sam and I's thing. We have to do this. And Bobby's like, we are family.
Family doesn't end at blood was
Yes.
such a good line.
That's the line.
Bobby Singer. You want him in a quote? Right there.
That's Bobby understanding. That's Bobby understanding the whole point. Well, the whole point of free will. Like, the whole point of free will for the Winchesters is that you get to choose your own family.
Yeah.
And they chose Bobby, and Bobby shows them right back and is like, we don't go, you know, that whole, if we go down, we go down together. Like, I'm not letting you do this on your own.
Well, something that I realized as you were just saying that I think is important to note is family and chosen family. It's not necessarily like chosen family isn't just a choice you make once. It's a choice you keep making. And I think that Bobby's whole, like, making sure that he goes with them is him just reminding them, like, I continue to choose you guys, so I need you to recognize that. And it also, like, you know, while that, you know, family don't end in blood is like the line that is just so perfect. It's also accompanied by one of my favorite Bobby lines, which is, do I look like a ditchable prom date to you? Love that line.
Yes.
That one was beautiful.
So good.
And I think that's one of the things that's great about Bobby is that he knows the kind of way to interact with Sam and Dean that will actually both make them feel understood and feel like he's listening to them, but also will, like, take no shit. Bobby's, like, able to speak their language, you know? He's able to appeal to what they both listen to. You know, he appeals to Sam's logic in terms of him coming along. He appeals to Dean's sense of family and of choice. And then he also appeals to both of their senses of humor. And by, like, that line, it's just, he's just going, I see you. You know, John Winchester would never. John Winchester would bark orders and take over. Bobby doesn't take over.
No.
He goes, I'm going to be here because I know more, and you're going to ask for my help and get my advice because I know more, but I'm not going to, like, steamroll you.
The way that when Dean fought them, it was like, hey, we're not going to do it like that. We're going to figure out something else. And Bobby just immediately gets dressed and like, we're going to go figure out something else then. Okay. Icon behavior.
Yeah. Respect. Well, he was respecting Dean's free will. I think that's like the cool thing there is Dean's like, I don't want to be saved by Sam having to, like, delve into demonic powers. And Bobby's like, yeah, totally get it. You know, like, I think that's the challenging thing about free will, even between Sam and Dean. Like, the tension is that, like, they both are trying to exert their free will, and it's kind of clashing against each other because they want to save Dean in different ways. and they don't quite, they don't quite come to a resolution on that.
Not quite. I need them to. I want more information.
Yeah, what do you want more information about, Noah? Tell us about what you think about this episode as a newbie.
I want to see what Sam's powers could have been, and I want them to delve into that a lot more, because if he could have flicked Lilith away without moving a muscle, that's interesting. And we should definitely explore that route a lot more. But now there's an opportunity for Dean to come back with some really cool powers and maybe abilities and shit. I don't know.
Oh, you think? Oh, okay.
I want Dean to come back with powers from hell. That'd be cool.
What kind of powers do you want him to come back with?
I have no idea. Super strength. Something cool.
Something cool.
Riverdale is going off the rails. Might as well throw some crazy powers in Supernatural. That's where they got it from.
Supernatural is the original.
Yeah.
Supernatural is the blueprint.
The blueprint for Riverdale now.
The CW blueprint.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But really, I just want to see somebody grip Dean real tight. That's what I really want to see.
Well,
Raise him from perdition, perhaps.
just hang on a little bit, Noah. We'll see where that takes
Just
us.
you wait. Sorry, everyone. I got a Hamilton Pop Funko today, and I had to make the joke.
I had forgotten that all of the Sam Ruby conversations in this episode, like I'd forgotten how much this episode centers around Sam's powers and the fact like Ruby says they're dormant, not gone. And we haven't seen this like this whole season. All we've seen is like people talking about Sam's powers, and that like Lilith specifically wants to take Sam down, and then she tries and like he is not scratched. Like Sam does something. Sam does something there. Something in Sam's instincts protects him.
That I think is actually one of the coolest moments in the episode, like from when I watched it the first time, and I'm curious of your take, Noah. Just the fear in Lilith's face when she realizes that her power did nothing to him.
Yeah, she kind of paused heavily.
It's her first indication that she might not win, I think.
Yeah, so she decides to bounce.
Which fair, because Sam in that moment, and like Sam, like we saw this in Mystery Spot, Sam devoid of fear or anything holding him back. Sam, when he is just acting on rage and instinct, is terrifying. And when he stands up and he realizes that like she can't touch him, that is not a Sam Winchester that any demon wants to meet. Specifically, not the one that like is responsible for the death of his brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the business end of that blade by any means.
Would not be pleasant, but she can just move on to the next one. What about Ruby's free will is interesting because she uses it to try and use Sam to help Dean, and really she wants to use Sam to kill Lilith.
Yeah, her free will, her like exercise of her free will is all about interfering with other people's free will. Like she's like, you can save Dean the way Dean doesn't want to be saved. We can kill Lilith. Yes, I'm being manipulative. She freely admits it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was doing that in Justin Bello as well. She was saying, like, look, I have a solution for you. It's just a solution that you goody two-shoes don't like.
Yeah, this is a repeat of Justin Bello in a lot of ways.
Yeah, except somehow sadder.
With a similar ending where, like...
It's not happy.
And, like...
There are casualties.
And you sort of win, but you also... you sort of win, like Sam walks out, but you also, like, devastatingly lose.
Yeah. This one, there's less characters involved, so the devastation, like it's the same ratio.
I also, for the first time as I watched this, found myself really glad that we didn't have to see Bobby be in the room when that happened to Dean, because he has such a, like, he loves them both as sons, obviously. But I think we've seen so far, and we will continue to see, like, he has a really soft place in his heart for Dean. And just, I don't know why, but as I was watching it this time, I was like, I'm so glad that Bobby's in the house across the street and does not have to watch.
He probably would have died if he had been in the room, because her attack on Sam.
Yeah. Bobby's life gets saved by the fact that he's not there. And like, I think Bobby is the one that really like sees through Dean. He has from the beginning, and like at the beginning of season 3, he's the one that like figures out that Dean made the deal. He's the one the whole season that's been like, I know how scared you are. In this episode, he's the one that goes like, you are seeing hell hands. You are having hallucinations. You are walking wounded, like psychologically right now. But Bobby's never like judgmental about that.
Yeah, he never judges him for it.
He's just like, I get it. I see it. I'm not going to like make a big deal about it, but I'm going to be there. On the flip side of that, Elayna, I hadn't thought in a while about how devastating, how Sam had to watch that whole scene play out. How like Sam is staring directly at Dean while the hellhounds are ripping him apart. And it is a long time before Dean's dead.
Yeah.
Like, whew, that Dean and Sam, and that like Sam has seen Dean die like 100+ times in Mystery Spot.
Not like this.
This is going to be bringing up all of those things for Sam again. And we saw what happened the last time. Like that does not
go well.
Another like free will sort of thing is one of the last conversations Sam and Dean have when Sam goes like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do I do if you're gone, Dean? And Dean says, remember what Dad taught you and remember what I taught you. Like
Separately.
Sam is asking for direction.
Oh, damn it, Abigail, I was fine. Now you're fine.
What did you say? You just said something, Noah. You just said something about them being separated.
Yeah, like it's separate what Dad taught him and what Dean taught him. I feel like that's significant. The way that Sam views them, both as father figures, but not in the same way. And they've both taught him hunting stuff and hunting tips and techniques, some of which Dean got from John, but taught it to Sam better and in a more wholesomely structured way.
Because I think that John taught him a lot of things, but Dean raised him.
Yeah.
And there's a difference there in learning something from someone and being raised and loved and supported by someone.
Yeah, very definitely.
And when Dean's saying that to Sam, he's not telling Sam actually what to do. And he's not even telling Sam like what from John or from him is important for Sam to know. He's saying just, remember what Dad taught you. Remember what I taught you. He's going, Sam, you have like, he's telling Sam that he can trust himself. He's saying, if you hold on to the things that we told you, the things that we showed you, the things that we lived out in our lives, you'll be okay. You'll be able to find your own direction. You'll be able to take your free will. You'll be able to take the free will that I like sacrificed to get you, and you'll be okay. Like, I think he believes Sam will be okay. It's like this, he has this trust in Sam, even as he's scared for him.
Okie dokie. Well, then let's slide on into our going meta section where we are tracking lore, the Bechdel test, pop culture, and more. Let's get started with the Bechdel test.
I think we passed today, folks.
I think we did too. But do we know the mom's name?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because do we know the kid's name?
No.
Well, the thing is, but it's Lilith.
Yeah,
Lilith having the
True.
conversation. So it is like a character that is coded as a female character, even if it's a demon, and demons are kind of genderless blobs.
That's a great sentence.
Don't remember the mom's name.
I don't think they say it. Trust me, I wanted us to pass, but it occurred to me we don't know her name.
I don't know the dad's name either. I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't pass based on that, but we do
have two women talk about something other than a man. They talk about a dragon.
Yeah, they do. Fuck yeah.
That children's book is awesome and incredibly creepy in the context.
Yeah.
Well chosen on their part in terms of the writing. I think it adds this like creepy element to it, where you're getting the like fantasy story contrasted with the very real, almost like the dragon-like sort of presence of Lilith.
Yeah.
It's nicely done.
While we're here, props to the actress. She killed it. Like, was absolutely the creepy child type that they needed for this episode. I was very impressed.
I want to look up this actress. So the actress is...
Oh my God, that's from American Horror Story.
Yeah, it's Sierra McCormick.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
She is obviously grown up a lot. And she's in American Horror Story. She's in a lot of things.
I stand by it. She was exactly the right type of little kid. And she has just channeled that even more into...
Zoe is the little girl's name. I think they do say that.
It might just be on like stuff.
So wait, see if the mom has a name.
Let's find out. We do our research in advance here.
Mrs. Friedmont.
Yeah, that's
not a first name.
That's a dicey pat. That's dicey.
Yeah.
Mrs. and Mr.
Yeah.
Pat makes sense because the neighbors talk to him.
Oh yeah.
And that's how they get that one. But
No one else addresses anyone else by name.
Ugh.
in Freedmont, they got from the mailbox. So
Yeah, it's true. We don't even, that's not even given in the episode. So get this, I was looking into the lore for this episode, and with any season finale for Supernatural, there's always a lot of lore. This is the culmination of a lot of lore.
Yeah.
this is where it all builds to.
Obviously, we get to finally meet Lilith.
Yep.
That's a big
In
deal.
the flesh, doing more than just blowing up a gas station
Yeah.
or police station.
I really love that we get this episode, the old holy water sprinkler trick.
Yes.
I feel like that's one of the most badass things that they ever
So
do.
good.
Like, finally, a hunter with like some sense who is strategic. I mean, we did see John do a version of this.
In the season 2 finale, when he does it, he drops his
yeah,
reservoir.
season 1
into that big
finale.
reservoir. Season
Yeah,
1. I'm
I
sorry.
did forget about that, but it's cool
Yeah.
when Bobby does it because Bobby's not an asshole.
Yeah, Bobby's is way cooler because John's protects his little section that he's escaping through, his escape route.
It's a very temporary.
Yeah, Bobby uses it as a very big, strong move to take out a lot of them at once
Yeah.
and protect everybody.
Becomes this like barrier. It's a great, I think I really love when hunters use like non-traditional ways of using supernatural materials, and Bobby blessing like basically the drain pipes is
For the whole block.
is so
Like
smart.
people are gonna wonder why their flowers are growing so much extra nicely over the next week.
Or they're all dying. I feel like they might all be dying. Maybe.
That's also very possible. The weeds will all die.
The weeds will all actually, yeah, that's true. Holy water must be
Yeah,
of really
yeah.
good gardens for a while. No weeds.
Yeah.
Well, but they're all dead too. Most of the people there are dead. So the new
Yeah.
owners.
So the
are gonna-
gardens are thriving. The people are all deceased. Good times.
Oh, but also just the like, I think this finale gives us also another look at the significance of like working as a team, because they are able to like lure out a few demons. They're able to like clear a bit of a path because they're strategizing together. They're not all split up. You know, they've actually
Yeah.
communicated about the plan, which, you know, is
Important and
Mhm.
unheard of in the early Winchester handbook.
yeah. They all seem like equal partners in the plan too.
Yes.
We also get quite a bit of lore of just about the end game for someone who has a demon deal, because I don't think we really dig too, it might have been mentioned, but it wasn't really dug into too much, that you start like hallucinating.
Mhm.
And I think that played out really nicely with like, first we see it happen with Sam's face, and then they introduce that he can like see demons' true faces. I thought that was really cool.
That was very interesting. Learning that immediately after he has a quote unquote hallucination about Sam's face.
Oh,
Interesting timing there.
oh.
Oh, Noah. Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Like
I had
maybe,
not put that two and two together.
maybe that wasn't quite a hallucination. That's him starting to pierce the veil sooner than he realizes.
And also seeing maybe a little bit of Sam's true self too,
Yeah.
because Sam has demon blood in him. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
No, that is the most galaxy brain suggestion.
I am losing my mind over this theory. I had never ever thought of that.
I'm
Never.
sorry.
Do you think that that's part
Sorry,
of like
don't be.
that's part of something that he then every time he looks at Sam in this episode, he can see
Maybe a little bit.
Oh God, I hope
something
not.
is not right about Sam. Like something is there.
Something in the eyes.
Oh,
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 damn.
got chills.
I also really love like with that lore that they pull that into the plot. I think this episode is really nicely plotted, and
Yes.
how they use the fact that Dean can see their faces actually is what tips them off when it's Lilith and not Ruby anymore. It's too late, but I think it like adds to that dramatic effect of the
And it's how they saved the little girl too.
yeah.
So she was about to get that Colombian necktie.
I appreciate that the writers didn't feel the need to like brutally murder a small child, even if a
Again.
demon was inside her.
Yeah.
Making good choices.
Yeah, again.
Yeah,
Okay.
which time?
The one other thing that really appeared lore related is another introduction of the Hellhounds and another version of their psyched I feel like it's been a different filter every time.
Good point. I'm not sure if that sounds like
It's just a special effects thing that they get better with, I guess, and
I
then they
think
can
so.
decide. It's a minor note, but I like seeing how a monster would view a situation.
I wish we had gotten to see more of that in this episode because it's just like the one shot.
Yeah.
Like I think they could have built the suspense more. I think like knowing that Dean is supposed to like start seeing them and hearing them beforehand, I think we could have seen more of that in the last like 10 minutes leading up to it.
Bobby also doesn't even mention we were talking, and maybe this is something I just remember because we're recording episodes immediately after each other, but we just put the little sagebrush thing that Bella has in the lost cannon jar. Bobby doesn't even mention that at all. They don't even talk about that. Like they're avoiding hellhounds.
So yeah, Devil's Shoestring from 315. They never mention it again, and it's like I wonder if it's either super rare and that's why they don't even attempt with it, because they also, I think, I would assume it's a temporary measure. We don't get to see with Bella if it works. We'd kind of assume it doesn't.
Yeah, we don't get answers on Bella in this episode. That's another frustrating point.
Yeah, I think it's like heavily implied that she doesn't get out of her deal.
Because it's been at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they have 30 hours left at the start of this episode. Last one, it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And unfortunately, we do not ever see her again.
Yeah, I think it's sort of assumed that she is.
Ever? We don't see her ever again? You kidding me?
I'm sorry,
I'm so
Noah.
sorry, Noah. I wish
Stop
we
the podcast. Stop the podcast.
Bella,
sorry,
Abigail and Elayna, I'm asking you guys, not podcast hosts. We don't see Lauren Cohan, Bella ever again?
Sorry.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
sorry.
That shitty ass phone call, and that's
Honestly,
it.
Elayna and I had a conversation about this like 2 days ago where we were like,
That makes me
eventually
so
Noah has to
mad.
get attached to someone who isn't going to just disappear after like 4 episodes.
God damn.
I'm sorry.
That's so annoying.
I didn't want you to like start coming up with all these theories about when they're going to run into Bella again, because they will not.
Which is it isn't lost canon, but it is just like unfortunate. Like, Bella, like
they really don't mention her much either,
especially since like presumably she also goes to hell. Like, what if like we could have had a like Bella Dean hell scene.
Yeah, they don't.
Sorry, Noah.
That sucks. That's fine. It's fine. I'll figure out a way to move on.
Yeah, it sucks. And Lauren Cohan, she's so good in that role. It's such
She killed it.
Dynamic character. It's one of the most interesting characters we've had.
If anybody was going to be someone who I would want to join the show long term, that's a pretty strong one.
Oh yeah. Well, imagine like we found out that like in Dream a Little Dream of Me that like when you go to hell, like eventually you become a demon.
Yeah,
like we could have had like demons.
Demon.
Bella.
We could have had it all.
So we have a question from our friend Jamie, who wanted to ask. So we put out a call for if anyone wanted to ask Noah a question about what he thought about this episode or something in specific from this episode. And Jamie, from one of our friend podcasts, sibling podcasts, Driver Picks the Podcast, Jamie asked if Noah thinks, and I guess all of us by extension, is the hell that Dina's in a special hell, or is just hell like incomprehensibly massive so it can be like one of those huge hanging chambers for everyone? Like, how does hell work? Do you have a theory, Noah? Do they rotate people through the hanging chamber, like taking turns on the swings at primary school? This is the way Jamie phrased the question.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for writing in, Jamie. I don't know. I think that it's got to be incomprehensibly massive for sure, because it's got to be like a separate dimension. If we're talking logistically, then I think it's got one big, huge hanging chamber, but they've got magical spells of some sort that make it seem like you can't see anybody else. So each of those conjunctions of hooks that we see at the end there has a person in the middle. None of them can see the others, though. So it's
that's
like you're alone. But the demons aren't affected by that, so they can probably just go right in between. That way it's the ultimate torture, because you feel like you're alone and there's no hope, but for them it's just one big room. That would make the most sense. Not to get real dark with it.
It was what the question called for.
Yeah.
This is Jamie's fault.
We love you, Jamie, but it's all your fault.
We will have to check back in once we know more about Hell and see
Yeah,
how accurate this prediction is.
it was very interesting seeing like their representation. I'm always down to see how they take it on.
Yeah, and we just get that one shot of it, so it's going to be
Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Wait till you
obviously.
see its evolution.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at some point they're just gonna be like walking through like a park and they're like, yeah, this is like our version, this is our section in Hell. We're just hanging out, chilling. Yeah, it'll get crazy. Speaking of crazy, pop culture references in this episode, not that crazy.
I enjoyed the Bon Jovi bit.
The Bon Jovi bit was fantastic.
He rocks on occasion.
Ooh, there was a Star Wars reference when he goes to Ruby, when Sam is making a deal with her, trying to work out how they can save Dean. He says, oh, look at that, our slutty little Yoda. Train Sam.
Which is kind of great. Ruby in that role. Because I mean, it's not inaccurate. It's a good
I mean, no. Demons are all very, very slutty. They're all
and we
horny.
love that about them. We love that.
Yeah,
Particularly
it's not a
about
bad
Ruby.
thing. Not trying to throw, not slut shaming.
Celebrating, as it were.
We're celebrating sluts today.
Having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, the other pop culture reference that I personally loved, because it's also not the first time we've gotten a Mr. Rogers reference, but Dean's made another Mr. Rogers reference, and I am here for it.
Not the old
Where was
demon
that?
He sees the old guy
That's
sitting
right.
reading a book.
Binoculars at Lilith's house.
Yeah, it's the sweater. It's the sweater that makes him go,
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers over there.
At the beginning, they also had a Miss Universe reference. Dean used it at somebody.
Ruby? Probably Ruby.
Probably Ruby.
Dean has a lot of quips with Ruby. Dean and Ruby continue to have nemesis vibes in the best kind of way, which is great because Dean also has those vibes with Bella.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Bella anymore.
No,
We can't.
no more. Okay,
break
but we
my heart.
are going to talk about our gaydar. So that's sexuality, gender, relationship dynamics.
All wrapped up into one little bundle,
I feel like Dean is too busy dying to be gay this episode.
which is ironic because Cass. Yeah, okay.
His death will be the gayest thing he ever does.
The one thing Noah does know about season 4 is Cass comes.
He's so close. He's right around the corner.
Literally, it's literally around the corner. There's like sexualized language, for lack of a better term, a number of times in this episode.
Yeah.
There's the line that Bobby has, you're almost Hell's bitch, so you can see Hell's other bitches, which is, I guess, connected to this section.
I gotta say, in terms of pieces that 47 out of 10 did not like, absolutely hate that they have Lilith in an adult body for all of 5.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel all big and pretty. And then she kisses Sam.
Yeah, and then she sexually assaults Sam immediately.
Like,
Not okay.
absolutely fucking hate it every single time.
Yeah, I really hate it. I really hate that that's like a thing that keeps happening to Sam. Sam particularly in this season has had that happen like 4 times, and it's gross. I think with Lilith, it's not that I wanted to be there, but I think they're showing something about Lilith's character, and I'm not sure if it needs to be there or not, but I hate it less in terms of a writing standpoint. In terms of obviously like a character standpoint, it's really gross.
Yeah.
You can cut all of that because that was sort of incoherent. I don't care what you do with that.
No,
Take it out.
it's important because it's not pleasant to look at. It's not great representation.
It makes my skin crawl every single time because I'm like, you guys are like sexualizing a child. I know it's a demon child, but it's still a child and it feels weird.
Yeah, I never see her as a child though. I think even when she's in a child's body, like I don't think it's. I'm not really arguing your point here because she's not a child. Like I think that's important to say. She's never been a child, even when she's in a child's body. But it is weird that they went immediately there.
Yeah, it's the seeing her in a child's form, like not minutes
doing
before
some messed up stuff.
It skeeves me out every time.
Yeah, that's very true. And I also like on that note, demons in general. We made the joke about demons being sluts earlier in this episode, not derogatorily, but like the thing where demons, particularly demons in female vessels, are very assaulty is like does not sit well, especially considering real world implications and real world like experiences where
Don't like it.
Women and women identifying people are far more likely to be victims. The fact that like they've flipped that sometimes, you know, you can flip that in an interesting way in a story, and sometimes Supernatural will do that, but most of the cases we've seen, it's just been an excuse to like villainize female characters.
Yeah, when there's hardly any to speak of to begin with.
Yeah. And that's not great. You can do better. Like Bella, case in point. Manages to be flirty without like being a salty.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She was so perfect. She was so perfect, and you guys got rid of her. You should have done better.
Yeah.
God damn it, Supernatural.
Yeah, she's pretty up there on my list of characters where I'm like,
robbed.
Are you kidding me? Like so many characters. Like if we were to make a podcast about wrong characters on Supernatural, we'd have a gabillion episodes to make. It would be insane.
We'd have more episodes than the show.
I was gonna say that's basically our show now, because they're cranking out one per episode.
But
R.I.P. Tiny.
R.I.P. Tiny. He lives on in our logo.
We are gonna move into our episode mixtape. This is going to be our last time adding songs to this mixtape before we release it to all of you next episode. Yeah.
I think I've got to do You and My Addiction by The Fame. It's a fantastic, fantastic new song by a lovely Australian band who I've met many times there. It starts out with the lyrics, I'm not the type to walk away, but lately I've been hoping I could be the type to change. And I think that Dean is really hoping that Sam can move on and not focus on his addiction, which is saving Dean. And Sam just really wants to have more time with Dean and have some time to grow and bond and be the brothers that they're destined to be. And the song's all about trying to get some more time.
That's a very fitting thematically for this episode.
What about you?
I am going to go with Eat You Alive by the Oh Hellos, because it really works well for Dean. It's a song about being afraid for your soul, and there's a line like that is one of my favorite lines in any song. There's no courage in flirting with fear to prove you're alive. Ooh. And just Dean's arc over this whole season of really holding back fear for many, many episodes, and then slowly being vulnerable about his fear, and the fact that it's still, even though he's honest about it, like they're still not able to save him. I think, you know, the end of the song is, you know, she'll eat you alive, and both literally and metaphorically, there it is. So that's gonna be my last addition to the mixtape this season.
Damn.
So my final contribution for season 3 is going to be a song called Lost by NF. He's a rapper and he's wonderful, and I highly recommend.
He's an icon.
Yeah. And this song, like in tone, it's sounds like something like there's this like pulsing energy to this song that reminds me of like the urgency of the episode. And there's a ton of lyrics. He raps very many words in very short spans of time, so I could not read a huge chunk of lyrics, but the one I did single out that just kind of really hit me for this episode was falling's how you grow and learn your lessons, kids. Take the worst and try to make the best of it. And that kind of feels like what his advice is to Sam. He learned his lesson by making the same mistake that his dad did in making a deal to save Sam. And he's really, if nothing else, is trying to make sure that Sam knows, please don't make the mistake that dad made and that I made. Learn from us, grow. So yeah. It's a really heartbreaking song for a really heartbreaking episode.
Damn.
That's my pick.
Well, those are some strong contributions to the mixtape for this week. I'm proud of us.
Ending strong. I'm excited to listen to the themes of this season.
It's going to be such a widespread.
We've crossed genres a lot here, folks.
Yeah. I literally went from like Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers to NF. So.
We have range. We have range here on this podcast.
We do.
Except that we only talk about Supernatural, but you know.
Whoops. Well, except for all the bits that we cut out.
That I probably
we're not talking
about a lot of other stuff.
So yeah, that's gonna bring us to our last section today, which is our blessings. Elayna, who do you want to bless this week?
My blessing this week, as it often does, goes to Dean for extraordinarily obvious reasons. He goes to hell this episode. And he doesn't deserve it because he just did it because he loves his brother and he didn't know how to live without his brother. And I know I've had family that I didn't think I could live without, and it is really hard when you have to. And so I want to bless him for the hard decisions that he had to make, but the fact that he made those decisions out of love, I think really is profound. And bless Dean, because he's about to go through it, and I wish he didn't have to.
I actually will jump up off of that blessing because something you said was very similar to something that I wanted to say. You talked about it's really hard to live without someone that you care about. And I want to bless Sam for that because he has to go on living at the end of this episode. You know, the end of season 2, Dean lasted only a handful of days before bringing Sam back. Now Sam has to live without Dean, and he doesn't have a way of bringing him back. Like, he can't go and make a deal. You know, Sam now has to live in a world where, like, they couldn't save Dean in the way that Dean saved him. And that is a huge weight to carry that Sam is walking out of this with, on top of all of the other things he already has going against him. And so I just want to bless Sam for what comes next, because he is staring down a very scary prospect that he's been trying to avoid all season.
Bless Sam.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and make my blessing out to Bobby, because he has been just about the best goddamn father these two boys could have ever asked for. Significantly better than John ever has been. And the fact that he had to lose one of his boys and couldn't even be there to hold Sam afterwards.
I said I wasn't going to cry anymore this episode.
Bobby has had to lose both of them in the past year.
In separate different ways.
And
he's
then,
lost them twice.
And then he's had to console and support the one that lost them. Like, he can't even be the primary griever.
Yep. Unfair, but I look up to him, and he's going to handle it really well. I know it. Proud of him. Blessings to Bobby.
Blessings to Bobby.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode today. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming, guys. What did you guys think? Good episode?
Great. I mean, awful, horrible, heartbreaking episode, but yes, great episode, folks.
Pure emotional damage, and there's no one else I would have rather experienced it with.
Yeah, no, thank you, Noah and Elayna, for just like experiencing this episode together and talking about it, because it's fun. It's nice to talk about. It's nice to explore this one. This is a fun culmination of a season.
Honestly, they wrapped a lot of it up, and they wrapped it up pretty tidily.
And I just want to point out that this is the culmination of the first season, the first full season that the three of us have been co-hosting this show. So
yeah.
You all joined me partway through season 2. You joined me at the end of season 2. So like, this is the first, we have done a whole season together as a team, and I am very proud.
I'm very proud.
And super grateful for both of you. So I just want to
right back at you. Best part of my day every time we're recording.
We did a whole season of making things gay and
God.
Saving people.
Yay!
The joke was on us. We were the people we saved.
Oh no. That's so cheesy and beautiful. And I am too emotionally compromised to handle it.
Well, you know what that means? That means you just got to make sure you're subscribed to save
the most contrived segue. But yeah, come listen to our show, friends. You can subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And you can find links to our social media and how you can reach out to us on our website, queeringthingspodcast.com. We also have a Discord where we can make new friends. We love to get to know you and hear about what you think about Supernatural. So join us on there. The link to that is on our website as well.
Be sure to ride along with us next week for our season 3 recap and award ceremony as we get ready to head into season 4. Going to be a good time.
The Gay Angel season!
I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for coming along for the ride, and we wish you a peaceful road until we meet again.